Heard part 2 from Ronaldo. It weren't as explosive as the media made it out though. Piers Morgan was up in his a-hole. He weren't trying to hear them facts, it was all about views and promo. Might as well been on a man's payroll. What? Heard part 2 from Ronaldo. It weren't as explosive as the media made it out though. Piers Morgan was up in his a-hole. He weren't trying to hear them facts, it was all about views and promo. Might as well have been on a man's payroll. What? Yo, this is the OT99 Bantering, where opinions are shared and smoke get served. Look, we're back again with another show. It's your boy Firms, and I'm joined today by NK. Look, quite frankly, Edwin, if you're looking for him, mate, he's probably joined Ronaldo right about now. It's his lawyer drawing up the contracts because
did he went to go do an exit interview in a different YouTube channel?
Edwin went to do exit. He's trying to do damage limitation right about now. But you know what, yeah? We had a turbulent week. Well, Manchester United had a turbulent week. Man United fans had a turbulent week. Would I say turbulent? I would say more about a week where we were waiting. We were just waiting to see what Ronaldo was going to say and see where it lands him, see where it lands the Glazers, Erik ten Hag and everything like that. We obviously got prepped. We saw the quotes that were circulating online. And I ain't going to lie, when I watched the video, the interview, sorry, I was not really, it wasn't as explosive as I thought it was going to be. I think the fans were gearing themselves up. Maybe Man United was even gearing themselves up for like all of this crazy sort of backlash, throwing us under the mud and everything like that. When you watched that video, that interview, keep saying video, interview, what was your thoughts of it overall?
Overall, I just feel like Ronaldo has found a way out finally. You know, he's found a way out. So that
he gets what he wants, isn't it? He always gets what he wants.
He always get what he wants. I think he actually kind of like he found a way out, and he has kind of like gone out there to change the narrative about what potentially is about to happen. So he's gone on record to kind of like say his side of the story, or what he thinks is the side of the story. And we all know that the club are not going to come and either deny it, like publicly. I don't think they will do a statement to say, hey, you know what he's saying is untrue or not. They're going to just do it. But so on record, he just gone out there to do what Ronaldo does, which is literally make it about him, and also kind of like forces the club hand to kind of like also say, look, I've said what I need to say, so now what are you going to do? So it's like, to me, I think this interview, if it was a football match, I would say it was more like 2-1 to Ronaldo. 2-1 to Ronaldo. It's about right now winning right now.
Do you know what? Yeah, my overall thoughts on the interview was I was kind of disappointed, right? I was disappointed because there's a lot. We always need to hear the two stories behind the scenes. You need to hear the two stories. Like there's Ronaldo's version, yeah. There's the Man United board's version, or even Erik ten Hag's version, and then obviously there's like the truth in it. But we probably won't get the truth. We'll probably get a rough version of in between. And quite frankly, like this was Ronaldo's opportunity to be able to come out in an interview and then set the record straight. What I heard in that interview was him kind of like making these statements, Ronaldo that is, but not really going into detail of what he necessarily meant. And I don't know if it was because, if he said too much, it's kind of like walking a tightrope. I don't know if he said too much, it would involve him being maybe like lawsuits or fines or contract getting terminated. But at the end of the day, we're in a position where Man United is looking to terminate the contract based off just what he said. For me, it was just touching on certain things. But I'm gonna play you this clip, NK, and this came from like TalkSport, and then we'll get into the discussions following what I just said.
Okay.
To me, it's an interview that is done between two people that know one another very well. It's a very comfortable interview, and nothing is really challenged. If the interview's set up, I think obviously one would accept there's only a few people in the world that could get that interview. For me, trying to understand the situation, I listened to an interview where very little was challenged. It was accepted at face value. Nothing was pushed back on. And it was evaluated from the perspective of an admiring set of eyes sitting across the desk from him.
What would you say to that, Piers?
Now, when I watched that interview, I thought the exact same thing. I looked at it and thought, why isn't Piers Morgan challenging this guy? Like, why? We want to know more information, not necessarily to make Ronaldo look bad, but it's to also exonerate Ronaldo, because a lot of press comes out about Ronaldo this, Ronaldo that. It's an opportunity for him to appease, like put the record straight, and also give the fans a bit more clarification. And I didn't get that vibe. What was your thoughts on that anyway?
Yeah, I think, you know, it was exactly that. I felt like the interview was more about Ronaldo making himself look good, not necessarily interrogating, you know, or pressing. It was more, hey, you know what, I'm going to come here. It was more like he was trying to give a statement. It was not, I wouldn't even call it an interview. I just felt like it was a more Ronaldo statement where he wanted to come there and say the event like his way, you know, without getting challenged or anything like that. And you could tell. And at times too, I felt like they were putting some words into his mouth, you know. Morgan was trying to put some words into his mouth, or he was kind of like, there was just only one narrative. You just know that it was always going to go a certain way, you know. Yeah, so I think the whole thing was just literally designed. There was a reason why he done it. He done an interview with what do you call it, one of his close friends anyway. So it's exactly what we expected this to happen. The interview was never going to make Ronaldo look bad in that way. So he wasn't going to press him like that, you know. So I think from a Piers point of view, it was a genius thing from Ronaldo, honestly. But later on, I think he's probably going to regret it though. But as of now, and whatever he want going forward in his career, I think it was a good move from him.
You know what? It was maybe a good move for him, but a bad move for us. I mean, he got his move, but obviously, I know when he's talking about, like in the first video, he was talking about the infrastructure, the facilities, the training, like complex, etc. It was poor. Man United knows this. We know it's poor and bad. And obviously, it's not putting a good light on the owners, because the owners are thinking like, you know, you're broadcasting this poorness across the whole world now. You know what I mean? We're looking at your fan base now of almost 500 million combined Twitter and Instagram followers, and you're broadcasting this across the world. Like, you know, this is bad publicity. I don't know what it would have done to their stocks and shares prices, but it's just making us look bad. You know what I mean? And at the same time, like, Man United fans can appreciate that. It's not like to say that we don't appreciate that. A lot of Man United fans, if you would take the time out to talk with them, or like in pods like this, they'll be saying, you know what, I love the fact that Ronaldo called it out. But at the same time, there was that bit of skepticism in terms of, obviously he's doing it for himself. And would he have been talking to the cams? Would he be talking to Piers Morgan if he was playing every minute of every game? Like, let's call a spade a spade. If Cristiano Ronaldo was playing every single minute of every game, would he have come out? Because he didn't come out to speak to to Piers Morgan last season. He didn't come out and speak to anyone or talk about the training ground last season. Look, Sanchez, when he got signed for Man United, the first thing he did, the first training session was just like, this is poor. I need to go back. Can you sell me? There was nothing from Ronaldo. So what was your thoughts on Ronaldo's interview again? Just to elaborate. So do you feel like, what's your thoughts on him making those comments about the Man United?
Here's the thing. Look, the interview, I took it into 3 different parts. There was the part where I think he's struggling to kind of like come to terms with his decline, because he mentioned the fact that his bad form, he don't think his bad form is necessarily due to him. He feel like it's more due to maybe him not feeling wanted, and sometimes when he's not feeling wanted, it kind of like affects his performance too. He doesn't feel like him not starting because of like not having preseason was fair, because other players too they didn't have preseason and they went straight into the team, which I think that was a big kind of like truth though, in terms of like saying like, look, I got treated different compared to others, which is true, but obviously that's the manager.
Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo needed that preseason more than some of the other players due to his age?
Well, see, it's a tricky one, and this is where we kind of like use his age as a factor, because Eriksen, for example, didn't have he didn't have no club, so he didn't really have no prisoner. I know he was kind of like training, but obviously he didn't. And we've always, one thing about Ronaldo, we always say is that he's one of the most fittest players around. But did he need a preseason? Yes, every player needed a preseason. Every player needed a preseason, but also with our team, when you have players like Eriksen not having preseason, you just walk straight to the team. I think Martinez was with Ajax, but he didn't necessarily train a lot with them too, because we bought him and then we done the whole paperwork. So I don't think he had any kind of like preseason games on top of Ajax too. So it's just kind of like a tricky one. But obviously the manager is there. He kind of like assessed their fitness. So maybe he done the fitness and he feel like Eriksen and Martinez was probably more fitter than Ronaldo to kind of like start them ahead of him. So it was what it is. He probably like needed it, but based on his decline this season, we can go ahead and say that. But I don't think it was down to preseason. So I just feel like it's more down to the fact that he just doesn't fit the manager's style of play. And he kept on talking about, oh, you know what, I can score goals. But right now, you know, football has kind of like reached a stage where, yes, strikers can score goals, but they need more than goals, you know. And the thing about him too is that our team in the middle is not so great that they can play to Ronaldo's strength, where they are creating chance after chance after chance for him, where he can potentially go into a game and miss about 3 big chances and still score 2 goals. Our team doesn't have that kind of like luxury, you know. So he also needs to understand that this team that we are currently are now cannot play to his strength. So we cannot just provide him with the chances for him to score goals like that, like how he's alluding to it. And in the current system now, other players are actually better suited to the system than him. I think he needs to kind of like accept that, but he doesn't. He just feel like, look, it don't matter whether I'm 37 or whether I go a year to go or 6 months to go. I want everything to cater to me. That's what I got from him. You know, I got the sense that he wanted everything to kind of like cater to me. Like, look, if they play to my strength, I can still help this team. And he's forgetting like the bigger picture is more about the team than him. So that was the bit there. You know, I think he's very struggling to kind of like, he even referred to himself as the best player in the world. I think currently he's no longer the best player in the world, but I think mentality-wise, he still feel like he is. He feel like he can still do what he used to do, but I doubt that too. The interesting bit that I kind of agree with him when he said that the manager provoked him and disrespected him against Tottenham. I think the manager did disrespect him by trying to bring him on late against Tottenham. I'm not going to deny that, but it's my manager, so I have to be on his side. Did he provoke Ronaldo? I think Erik ten Hag did. Look, he had a player that he didn't want, clearly, because he didn't fit the way he wanted to play. He wanted him to move on in the summer. The club clearly did not help the situation by moving Ronaldo on. And now I feel like he knew exactly how to do things in order for him to come out of all of this as the good person, and Ronaldo to push Ronaldo buttons for Ronaldo to end up doing what Ronaldo ended up kind of like doing. So, you know, but then for as a Man United fan, I say well done to Ten Hag, you know, because he played the whole scenario beautifully to the point where come January, he will have a player that he doesn't want, that obviously the club probably was struggling to move on, potentially leave the club, and hopefully they can back him by what do you call it? By getting him a new striker to replace Ronaldo too. The bit that he said about the Glazers and all that kind of stuff. So look, I've heard a few people say like, look, he said some stuff that we already don't know, but it doesn't matter whether we know it or not. You know, anytime someone come out and speak against the Glazers, it's always a welcome addition, you know. And he said it about the structure. He kind of like gave us a few information about the Glazers. He's never spoken to the Glazers before. Some people are running the club, everything just like that. But I just think it was just a good thing for him to kind of like reference about they not caring and all that kind of stuff. I think it was a good thing. But ultimately, the interview, look, Ronaldo did make some stories to benefit him. And I think ultimately too, he did say a few points too that you could probably say it was true. So in a way, I always say there are some good bit and there's some bad bit. It just a matter of like which one do you want to pick to make your argument or your case. But for someone like me, because I want to see both the good and the bad side, I'll pick both points and then argue my case about.
I think this is I think with where he makes that point about Erik ten Hag disrespecting him, I feel like that's where I don't really disagree. There's parts I don't disagree, but that's one of the parts I disagree with. Reason being because Cristiano Ronaldo's not Erik ten Hag signing, for one. And I feel like the Glazers or the board brought this guy in for commercial reasons. Obviously, like it's the fairy tale reunion, and he did do decent. He got his goals in the first season, but it's just like he got 20 plus goals in the first season, and it was going well. But I just feel like Erik ten Hag, when he came into Manchester United, he already stipulated his terms and conditions with the board. Even with Ralph Rangnick, we already knew that this guy had his own ways, own thoughts, and his own opinions. And Ralph Rangnick, whatever reasons behind that, thought he maybe didn't have as much control as he would have wanted to in terms of making the changes. And then he went on to do his whole job with Austria, moved on. Erik ten Hag stated his dominance and said, this is how I want to move. He's inherited Cristiano Ronaldo, who's got a massive personality, and rightly so. In Cristiano's world, he's thinking, you can't bring me on for 2-3 minutes at the end of this 2 weeks. I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. Don't you know who I am? His mentality is what's got him to this place, like of being at the top level and competing and still being 37 and still playing in the Premier League, right? I'm not mad at him for that. I feel like nobody has the right to tell anyone about what they believe, right? But the reality is Manchester United, right? What's good for the team? We're looking at it and we're just like, do you know what? Man United at the minute is functioning better. Look, Ronaldo, it's not like to say he got cast by the wayside and never touched the game. Yeah, you may not have been up to speed because you had family issues, which we're going to touch on later, and you had to sort that out. And therefore, you've missed pre-season. Martial started pre-season. He was doing well. The Premier League started. He's doing well. He got injured a couple of games into the season. Then I think Cristiano Ronaldo came in. He didn't do too well. Then Rashford came in. And then Ronaldo was like, I think at that point, maybe he was like being benched. He wasn't happy about that. Maybe trying to work on his fitness. Ronaldo came back in again and still hasn't hit the ground running. And then, it's just been more about, Europa League, which he doesn't want to accept. And Rashford leading the lineup for Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes or Garnacho or whoever we're playing at, that's in form. He hasn't really like that. And his mentality is never going to allow him to accept it. But it's an inherited problem that Erik ten Hag's tried to manage for the best of his ability. And it's just not working out. So I just feel like Cristiano Ronaldo, when he says disrespected, he may feel disrespected from a personal level, but for the purpose of the club, I just don't feel like he sees beyond himself. When you're looking at the club, instead of someone to be like, you know what, Man United's actually doing well. We actually only lost 2 games this season, considering like it was a mess the season before. We lost against Villa, we lost against, like in the Premier League, we lost against Man City, we lost against Villa. He's done a really good job in carrying this team. His decisions, most of the time, has been justified. Yes, we ain't scoring enough goals. Ronaldo, we played you in order for you to try and help us with that. You're not maybe up to speed. You're not maybe dwelling with the system. So therefore, we need alternatives. Like Man United can't just be playing Ronaldo for the sake of playing Ronaldo. We're going to be dropping points.
The word, to me, the word respect or disrespect, I think the first person that started all of this was Ten Hag. Because against Man City, when we were losing, I think 4-0 we were losing. I have to move forward. I'm not quite sure what it was. And you could tell that we needed to kind of get a goal. He didn't bring Ronaldo on. And after the press conference, they did ask him, why didn't you bring Ronaldo on? And he said, look, out of respect for Ronaldo, I didn't want to bring him on. And I think he didn't understand that. Even some of us didn't understand that, because if you're like, okay, if you're losing, clearly you want goals. So he didn't do that. Also, let's not forget that against Liverpool, before this against Liverpool, Ronaldo did come on and play only 4 minutes. So he has come on when the manager needed him. I actually found this information out. So against Liverpool, he only came on to play 4 minutes. I think it's just been a case where behind the scenes, which obviously Ronaldo alluded to, I think behind the scenes it's very clear that you got 2 people that are not getting on, because Ronaldo wanted to play a certain way that kind of like get the best out of him, because he even said it, like, I think when he played games where he doesn't want to press because he want to save his body and stuff, it doesn't work for the manager, and the manager feel like that's not going to work for me too. So you could tell that behind the scenes they are not getting on, but in public both of them have been trying their best to kind of like look like the good guy. Because I seen Ronaldo, obviously, you know, beginning of the season where he was benched, he wasn't happy, but he was trying to play like a happy teammate where he was clapping when players are scoring, trying to look like he was all happy on the touchline, which I know he wasn't, but he was just trying to play the narrative to kind of like fit it. Tim Hagto on the other side too have been in the press anyways, been defending Ronaldo, been trying to kind of like tell like, look, he's an important player, he's better, he just needs to be fit to play and all that kind of stuff. When the reality is he doesn't want to play a day. So it's a question of, it was kind of like a poker or a chess game. Someone needed to blink, and eventually Ronaldo blinked. Whatever was going on behind the scenes, which we don't know and we will probably not know, Tim has probably pushed Ronaldo buttons more than Ronaldo has pushed the manager's button more. So, and when you talk about that, I don't think against Tottenham, I don't think he should have brought him home with 3 minutes to go. I mean, look, we can say all you want, but you don't do that. I think he should have just not brought him more at all. I don't know whatever the example is about.
Look,
he knew what he was doing.
But this is the thing, though. Like, he may have known what he's doing, but at the same time, he's using what he has at his disposal. It's almost like bringing on, like, we're talking like this, right? Because it's Ronaldo, right? We can accept Ronaldo is the goal of his generation. But at the same time, if a manager, it's like you're bringing on Scott McTominay or Fred to close out a game. These guys, the manager still values them, but you're valuing them for a specific reason. I just look at it like Erik ten Hag clearly knows right about now Ronaldo's not doing it for him. But at the same time, he needs to bring on Ronaldo because he knows that he's still potentially a goal-scoring threat, even though he's not in form. And you're making your substitutions when you've said, okay, you know what, Martial or Rashford, I've utilized you, you're super tired, I need to rest you, I'm going to bring on Ronaldo. Yeah, it's because it's Ronaldo. But technically, if you remove the name Ronaldo and just look at it as another player, nobody's complaining about his decisions. It's because it's Ronaldo.
You cannot, because the thing is, you cannot, and we've seen it. I've seen Messi got taken off when Poch was there. When PSG it was 1-1, they took Messi off, and he wasn't used to the fact that he normally didn't get take off. And I saw him; he was very unhappy with the manager. Looked at the manager in a funny way, you know. I mean, Messi career is coming. I don't think if it happened to Messi where a manager asked him to come on 3 minutes to go, I think we get the same reaction. You know, I think we get the same reaction too. So
what you expect. It all comes down to the poor decision making at the end of the day with bringing in players like this, where Manchester United is not in a position to be able to accommodate players like this. We're just not in a position to do that. And then you brought in a manager.
And I think it's
not gelling with him.
It's down to the club, because the club knew this, and what the club did is, you know what, this could have gone south. You know, it could have gone really, really well, and I commend the manager for actually handle the situation better until now. Because right now we got a World Cup anyway, so we don't really have kind of like any games. But it could have been a case. You know what? We all know, everybody know. It's not a secret that if Ronaldo is not playing, he's gonna be happy. He is never unhappy when he's playing. And you had a manager that was coming that his style of football was never going to suit Ronaldo. And the minute he missed preseason and he was trying to get a move away from the club, which obviously he denied in the interview, but obviously we all know what happened. The club should have found a solution and made him go. Because ultimately, this interview could have come before the start of the season, where everything was literally just there. And the focus wasn't going to be about the football, and it was going to be about Ronaldo, and it could have affected us big time. You know, imagine he done this interview after we lost 2 games. You know, this interview could have just crashed the team spirit and all this back of winning games. So the club, they play gamble, and you know what? Thank God, it kind of the team, it didn't happen the way before it was. But ultimately, Ronaldo should have been dealt with in the summer and not get to the point where it is. Because look, as a Man United fan too, it's just very sad to see Ronaldo kind of like go for this where he's just doing an interview, because look, we grew up watching him, we love him, and just to see him leave the club on this bad note, it's potentially bad, you know, because he is one of our legends, he's one of our great, you know, so we don't want to remember Ronaldo as him living on bad terms, you know, like how Roy Keane done it. We want to just remember them as like what he did done for the club, and they could have just had a nice exit for him in the summer, and none of this would have been a problem.
Let's take it back to the beginning then. So I'm gonna play this clip for Melissa Ruddy, and then we'll discuss about what she had to say after. So this comes off the back, of like you know, the whole thing about Ronaldo missing pre-season, which a lot of people think, you know, led to his performances and now, and Ronaldo obviously saying that, you know the sad news. Obviously, it's sad news for any player, any person in general, to hear, like, you know, the loss or experience the loss of, you know, a family member, a child, a sibling, like a parent, anything like that. And Ronaldo's been through quite a lot of grief, it appears to, you know, and rightly so. So everyone has the right to manage it in their own ways. And obviously, Ronaldo wanted to spend time in this instance with his family, where his family are going through his daughter or son, sorry if I got it incorrect, was going through some health issues. He wanted to be there. The daughter. He wanted to be there. Was it Angel? I think it was a boy. His boy, it was a twin. It was a twin. Yeah,
twin. But I think he said that the daughter was the one who was sick in the summer. But obviously, he also lost one baby too. Yeah.
Yes, he lost one baby too. Yes, and one of them was sick in the summer, and he wanted to be with his wife and her family in that troubling time. So, in the interview with Piers, Morgan, Ronaldo said, that they believed him, like Manchester United board, whoever believed him, but they didn't quite believe him. Then he'd be like, oh, but you know, they did, but they didn't. And it was confusing for me as a viewer, because I was just like, this is obviously a key thing for everyone to know about, to understand. Nobody wants to be sitting there thinking, you know, you have a manager, you have a board members of your club that are not sympathetic to the situation, or would not allow you, or would fine you, or anything, you know, behind the scenes to stop, especially what you've been through. So it's just like, I personally wanted to know more about the situation, and I just didn't find that the response from Cristiano was convincing enough. Like I said, I mean, nobody can take away the experience that he would have gone through, but it's just a feeling of like, when he was saying, without the assurance, you know, the certainty, was sort of like, they believe me, but they didn't believe me, and believe me. But when you're doing an interview like this to the masses, to the world, you want that level of assurance that, you know, you're confident in what you're saying. You know, you've actually, this is exactly what happened. You know, they find you, they did this, they did that, and I didn't quite get that, and I still feel like I'm left in a place where I don't really understand what happened in that situation after that interview. So I'll play this video, which I remember that happened in pre-season. Then we'll get onto that topic.
Training out there behind you. What did Erik ten Hag have to say about Ronaldo?
Like you stated, he reiterated the club's stance that Cristiano Ronaldo is not for sale, very much part of his plans. The club have planned the campaign with him as their focal point of the attack. Very interesting, though, is he said he has spoken to Ronaldo, but not since the issue has arisen with his family situation and the news that he said that he wants to leave the club if a suitable offers come in. So since that, no discussions have taken place between the manager and Ronaldo, which was a very fascinating element. But he said he just wants Ronaldo to concentrate on what he's currently dealing with, and the club are calm about the situation.
Yeah, okay. There's plenty other story.
Now, obviously, you this reminded me, because it triggered, because in the interview you obviously said that you know, the Man United wasn't sympathetic towards him. They didn't really kind of believe him when he said he was going through these issues. And then I remember that took me back to this. and Melissa Ruddy was saying, giving comments about Man United, saying, that they respecting his time off, etc. And they spoken. So he said Erik ten Hag spoke to Cristiano Ronaldo, but not since, this issue. So like Erik ten Hag is not really had the opportunity to speak to him personally to get this first-hand information, because it appeared that Ronaldo went incognito. And my thing about it is just like Erik ten Hag got brought into the firing line, and this is my point, is just like this guy is getting brought into the firing line and his name's being dragged for things. It's almost like being a blanket thing, like, Erik ten Hag and the board of Manchester United are the issue. And really and truly, you might have your issues with Erik ten Hag picking you for the team, but it's not a blanket sort of issue with Erik ten Hag. I don't know, with the family issues that you're going through and giving you that time off. I just feel like it's kind of being masked there, and I think it needed a bit more granularity. And Cristiano Ronaldo, again, he just wasn't being as distinct and clear in his responses that I felt like he was giving to Piers Morgan and to the world, basically. So what's your thoughts on that anyway?
Yeah, the bit about the preseason one, I don't know. I think I kind of like got where he was coming from, and I also kind of like, that bit, I kind of like get where he's coming from, because I seen a player that during the season lost one of his son during childbirth, and obviously potentially they had twins. And even after that, he didn't have no time off, literally came and played straight away, straight back into kind of like play. So, and then after that, to remember that they went to go play the Nation League. So he didn't have that much of a breakthrough. So I think the bit that kind of a tricky that comes inside is, personally, I think he didn't even have to go and ask for the club for extra time. I think the club should have done that. I know it was a new manager coming in, but because of what he kind of like went through, I think the club could have just said, look, Ronaldo, we noticed like it was a very hard time for you during the season when you kind of like lost your baby and all that. So if you need like extended time, then you can potentially take like a few more days. Maybe you can miss the first game that we play against Liverpool.
But were they aware that remember, because I think his daughter was feeling ill. I think he said in an interview. But how aware or how informed was Manchester United, the manager, the board, of this happening? And once that conversation happened, like, this is
what I'm just trying to say, that the club, even whether the daughter was ill or not, I think they should have given him an extended break anyways, because he went through a big trauma
for his son. Oh, Jimmy. Okay, I see.
Yeah, they should have just done that and said, look, we can be okay with you missing the first part of preseason, because remember there was 2 parts of preseason where they went to Thailand and Australia. So they should have potentially said, look, you can miss the Thailand one because we know that you need much more time because of what you went through to be with your family, and you can meet us in Australia. But me and you both know that Man United commercially, the preseason was more about Ronaldo. Fans want to see Ronaldo, so there was no way that the club was gonna give him that time off. So I won't be surprised if he communicated with them that, look, my daughter wasn't feeling around at the time, and me and you both know like how this worked.
But he wasn't clear. That's my thing. He wasn't clear. Like, we're all making assumptions again, and he wasn't clear about it. And my thing is, it's just like, look, Cristiano Ronaldo.
But he said he told the club, but the club didn't believe him.
Yeah, but then he said they did believe him, but they didn't believe him. Again, there was a
because this is what happened. It's like, if I call in sick at work, they don't have no proof whether I'm ill or not, but they still have to take your word for it. I think that's what he was alluding to. Because let's face it, man, every person, I'm sure you've called in sick when you're not ill, and you don't have to say yes or no.
100% attendance, brother. Any bosses out there watching?
Yeah, but so I think it was one of those ones where Man United felt like, okay, maybe your daughter is not ill, because you want to kind of like engineer a move, because there was a lot of rumors flying around that he might potentially go to Chelsea or not. There might be some truth in that. So maybe that's why they didn't really kind of like believe the excuse. But
in the window though, in case that the window where transfer speculation is high. Look, Ronaldo self-proclaimed says he's a professional, and he is a professional up till like, you know, certain people will disagree with the recent events, but he's played out on most of his career being a professional player, and then obviously to the latter end, it's got peak. Look, this isn't something where you would be like leaving it to speculation or thing like that. I feel like with Eric, like Ronaldo came back after the death of his child Angel, yeah, and came and started playing football straight away. People deal with things differently. He came back and started playing football straight away. But now you mentioned, you know, maybe they should have given him more time off in the summer because he was trying to deal in that. Maybe he needed time to deal with that stuff and with the later stuff. Look, this is something that Ronaldo can communicate. This is about being a model professional. We don't leave it to assumptions. It's just be like, you know what? Like, I need it. Don't, because Eric Ten Hag mentioned times in interviews that he's tried to contact Ronaldo and he can't get it. You know, he hasn't heard anything. Why? I know you're going through that period, you know, but even you as an employer, right? Employee, me as an employee, or even an employer, whatever it is, you would make sure that the person who's paying your bills, paying you, well, proportion of it anyway, because Ronaldo makes tons, will be informed of what's happening and just open up line of channel.
I think he did inform them. They just didn't believe him in that. So it was one of those ones where he said, look.
But Eric Ten Hag said he wasn't communicated with. He said he spoke to him before.
Yeah, but I think he went
after he didn't speak to them. So he doesn't know.
Yeah, he went to the club because obviously he don't know the manager then. He hasn't met the manager then. No, but if I don't know you, for example,
I'm not going to be here. Personal reasons. Speak to occupational health. Speak to H.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't know my new boss, I'm probably going to go to the guy that I know. So I think it's just one of those ones where, look, he must have told them whatever the reason is, but they just didn't believe him because they felt like, okay, you know what, you don't want to come back anyway. That's why you're making an excuse, but we still have to take your word for it. I think that's what Ronaldo was kind of like alluded to it. With the bit about Ten Hag too, he don't know this manager. He hasn't worked with the manager yet. So it's very hard for me to go and ask the manager for permission or communicate to the manager because I don't know him yet. I don't have no working relationship with him yet. So I'm not going to go to him personally anyways. If I'm in the same situation, I'm not going to email the guy that I don't know unless the director also to say, okay, you know what, it's fine, but can you then tell the manager too? If they told me that, then that's what I'll do. But I'm not going to communicate to someone that I don't know. If the manager was someone that he was already working with, they understand where he has to communicate to the manager. But he don't know the guy. He's never worked with the guy. Probably didn't even have the guy's number, you know. And at like those times, so as I said, people deal with people different. Maybe he didn't even want to speak to people that he didn't know. Maybe he didn't want to talk about football around the time. Maybe he just wanted to kind of like shut himself down, you know. So it's just a bit of like a very sensitive subject, you know, from the club point of view. So you cannot call and say, hey, you know what, we know your daughter is not sick, so you need to come. They cannot come and say that too. So, and I feel like with the communication bit, because Ronaldo didn't know the manager and hasn't worked with the manager already, it was one of those ones where whoever he wrote the signal to or went to get the permission from could have said, okay, you know what, that's fine, but can you also go and talk to your manager? But we know it doesn't work like that because when it comes to a player like Ronaldo, certain stuff are out of the manager's hand. And I'm pretty sure the minute that he said I'm missing preseason or I cannot make preseason due to so and so reason, I'm pretty sure that the manager was probably like the last person that they called. They will call the owner to find out how potentially it will be for the commercial thing. Probably the manager was probably the last person to kind of like, no. So the communication bit, I don't think it's just down to Ronaldo too. I think it just go down to in Ronaldo's with the president and the sporting director, whoever it is. I think they should have been probably more clear to and just talk about, look, okay, if that's the case, if you're going to miss it, we're cool, but call the manager and speak to the manager so that the manager can also tell you what he needs you to do while they're away. They can put you like on a individual training or some kind of, you know, something like that.
But this is the frustrating thing about this topic, because it's such a sensitive topic. I mean, obviously, I've said a lot about this topic because there wasn't as much clarity. I mean, I felt like this should have been put. I still feel like there's a lot of. I just feel like if he was getting interviewed by somebody else, right? somebody else that was a bit more inquisitive will have a lot more answers to the things that we're discussing right about now. And I mean, obviously this is all planned and structured this way. He went to Piers Morgan for a reason. He's one of the only people that they said can get this interview. But I just frustrated with the interview in a sense where like we're having to talk about all of this when reality, a lot of these stuff could have been put to bed, and Ronaldo really wasn't really being probed. But let's move on from this topic anyway, because you know there's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes. Let's talk about like Ronaldo. Ronaldo, like, is a guy that's in the public eye, it's top of the pyramid right about now, and because of that, he gets called out and criticized the most. Ronaldo, you know, he's not performing. He hasn't saved us. He hasn't done this. Or Ronaldo walked out of the game, 2 minutes before, even though 8 other players walked out, his name was being called into question, and all of these other things that Ronaldo's being criticized for because of the nature of who Ronaldo is. And I can understand as a professional that could get very, very, very frustrating, because he's a human being like everyone else, even though he is kind of a goat and immortal. He's still a human being inside, and obviously he will be affected by the criticism that's happening around him. So let me just share one last thing from Wayne Rooney, because obviously there was stuff that came out about he's ignoring Gary Neville, he's ignoring Jamie Carragher, anyone that seems to comment, he ignores them. And at the end of the day, Wayne Rooney was in the firing line in that interview. So I was like, what did Rooney say? Like, what happened? So let me just bring up the quotes of what Wayne Rooney said about Cristiano Ronaldo. Then we'll take it from there. See if I can find it. Okay, there we go. Share. Okay, so this quote came from off the back of the 2-0 win, and Ronaldo walking off, and Wayne Rooney was given an interview to TalkSport, and basically they asked Wayne Rooney whether Manchester United. So Wayne Rooney was asked whether Manchester United is a better team without Ronaldo in it, and Wayne Rooney said, "No, I don't think so. Him and Messi are arguably the best players of all time, and you can go either way with that, whatever you decide. But I just think the things he has done from the start of the season, it is not acceptable for Manchester United. I've seen Roy Keane defending him. Roy Keane wouldn't accept that," paraphrasing. Roy wouldn't accept that at all. "It is a distraction which Manchester United don't need at the minute, and then when they are trying to rebuild. For Cristiano Ronaldo, just get your head down and work and be ready to play when the manager needs you. If he does that, he will be an asset. If he doesn't, it will become an unwanted distraction." So that was Wayne Rooney's comments following that the walkout of Cristiano Ronaldo. So when I read that, I thought it's not that bad. He complimented Cristiano Ronaldo as being one of the best players in the world, and basically said, what that is doing is a distraction, and that's not something that Man United will tolerate. And that if he keeps his head down, obviously get back in the game, will be perfect for him. If not, it'll be a distraction. Look, I looked at that, and that's no different from what any Manchester United fan was thinking when they saw that around the world. And this isn't necessarily about maybe like what led up to that event, because obviously Ronaldo has his reasons to why he blew his fuse. This is more about being to the fan base anyway. It's about being a model professional, as much to your ability, and just doing the right things. 2 minutes is not going to kill you. Do you understand? And Ronaldo, quite frankly, he's been in the game long enough to know what it would mean when you walk out 2 minutes before. He knows that the headline's going to be about him. He knows. He's been in the game for that long. He understands. And when he mentions about being a professional and, nobody listening to the youth, not listening to him and all of these things, he needs to understand that he's a very influential player. You walking out those 2 minutes before the game ended took away from one of our better performances against Tottenham. You know what I mean? Your actions determine a lot of what our youth do. You see Garnacho, you see all of these kids all around the sort of Premier League or other like divisions doing Ronaldo celebration. Like when he sneezes, the world catches a cold at the minute right now with his fan base anyway. And I just feel like we've got youngsters in the team like Malacia, like Garnacho and all of these guys, he's already been tutored to having some behavioral issues that could be highly influenced. Anthony as well, that could be highly influenced by Ronaldo's actions. Yeah, and that was concerning to me. And I just feel like I just take it, just on my last point, I just take it as I just see it as Ronaldo having an issue with people, especially people that he's played with, commenting or criticizing him in any way. You know, he said Ronaldo said when Rooney was at his house not too long ago, asking his, I think like maybe 6 weeks or a couple of months before that, and their sons know each other, play football together. He found it a bit weird or strange that he would criticize him in that way. What was your thoughts of what Rooney said, and do you take it as harsh criticism? Do you feel like it's unjustified?
I think Rooney was spot on with what he said, because he never said, like, I think with his comment with Gary Neville was different, because he never said, look, the team is better or not better with Ronaldo there. He said, look, that's not even the point, But he talked about the stuff that he does being a distraction, and he is right. It was a distraction, because after that, we were not talking about Man United playing well. We were talking about Ronaldo walking off. So it's a distraction, especially when you are trying to build a team and trying to build in a new kind of culture where everybody's on board. You don't need those kind of added pressure as a manager. You don't need to have to deal with that added kind of pressure or that kind of side of the game too. So Rooney was kind of right. I think where Ronaldo is, Ronaldo is just one of those ones where he wants people that he see as friends or close teammates or whatever to always be on his side. But he also forget that Rooney too is also a Man United legend too, and he also have loyalties to the club, So when it comes to kind of speaking, he has to be objective and not be biased, I think someone like Joaquin, for example, he's kind of damaged his relationship with the club, where he doesn't really kind of do a lot of things with the club anyways, I don't think yet. So he's more inclined to be more loyal to Ronaldo than he will do to Man United. I think that's what it comes down to. Who are you more loyal to? Are you gonna say it to kind of protect the team, kind of play the player, or are you gonna say to just actually, are you gonna be brave enough to say, hey, you know what you did is bad? Because everyone knows that what he did was not acceptable, As a professional as he is, it is not acceptable, So it's just one of those ones.
And you want the pundits to be impartial. You don't want the pundits sugarcoating or overlooking.
Yeah, sugarcoating. You just
I respect Gary Neville. Even with the whole Glazer thing, he's one of the few people that are loyal, like the Man United legends, to come out and say, you know what, the Glazers.
10 years too late. 10 years
it's
too
10
late.
years.
Yeah.
It is 10 years too late, but I still respect that he's one of the only people that's coming out. Look, we could be saying 20 years too late. Certain people just ain't budging, bro, and you can see what the Glazers are doing. So I can't now be saying, Gary or Scholes or all of these guys, why are you talking against Ronaldo? Look, this is what they're paid to do. At the end of the day, they're just keeping it 100, really. I don't know how it is, because obviously if it's your boy, you're gonna if you're close, it's your boy. But then Ronaldo in the same breath says they're not friends like that. They're just teammates, and you know what I mean. They're not really.
Right, obviously, when you
invite
someone to come to your house, it's just what it is. I think maybe he kind of expect people to kind of sugarcoat it for him in public, because he feel okay, you know what, I'm dealing with fellow, or maybe they could potentially kind of call me to ask me yo, Ronaldo, why did you do this? Hear his side of the story before they kind of go in public, because I know I think in that moment he felt alone, and he just didn't have anybody kind of backing him, because it's more the press was against him, his manager was against him, his teammates was against him too. So it was more about he felt alone and needed people to kind of be on his side. But the truth of the matter is that what he did was wrong, and it's going to be hard to actually find people that's going to be on your side. Maybe I'm sure maybe working in public, he probably is going to be doing that, but in private, I hope he's telling Ronaldo what you done is not good, which is fair anyway. But working get paid to speak honestly, so he cannot come there and be doing PR to protect certain individuals, because he's paid. People pay Sky a lot of money to watch people speak honestly about what's going on. So that's where it's kind of is. So
to wrap this up then. So obviously, Man United came out, gave a statement, said, you know, we're looking to as amicably as possible terminate the contract without paying out a fee, and hope they don't have to go through all of these legal, you know, court, whatever like that. One thing I do know after that is that whether Ronaldo is still here, whether he's able to find a club or not, or wherever he decides to go, Man United don't wish to have him sitting on the bench even for Manchester United going into the January. And where that leaves us is a man down, where, like I said before in the previous video, Manchester United probably wanted to ride out another 6 months and save a bit of coin. Now they've got to enter the market in January and try to spend, because, you know, or top 4 or Europa League or any type of ambitions is riding on it. If the Glazers has got any ambition, I'm hoping Erik ten Hag will be that fire to be like, you know what, this is unacceptable for me. Where do you see what, you know, Ronaldo's obviously out of the equation now. I count him as a striker less. What do you see us doing in the transfer market in January? Who do you see us going for?
It's a tricky one, because I don't think they can terminate his contract without paying him a single penny. I think that they will pay him some money. And if they're not inclined to do that, that's because Ronaldo has found a better deal, or someone is willing to kind of like cover whatever damages. But I don't think he will let this go lightly too. So yes, the question is, I just see if Man United have to pay him a settlement fee and potentially what it means for them commercially, I just don't know where we find money to buy a better striker. You know, I think we're going to find a solution, whether it's a loan or to bring in like another old striker for another 6 months contract or so, or even if we have to keep Martial and Rashford to the end of the season. Because let's face it, Garnacho coming in has actually been another boost for us in terms of like the wings too. I see us buying a right back. Honestly, if you tell me whether we are actually going to sign a striker or not, I'm scratching my head. I'm really scratching my head on that bit. I don't know what's out there, and I don't see us spending more than 50 million in a transfer window. And because we need to get a right back too, I don't know. They're gonna have to do something very powerful to get some kind of like a cheap option. And then obviously the only one that they're talking about is Gakpo. But after World Cup, if his price go up or someone coming with a competition, that's another player out of the equation too. So after that, where do you go there?
And that's the thing. I don't see PSV wanting to negotiate until after the World Cup, because they can easily slap on an extra 10, 20 million because of how he's performed. So if there's going to be any business, it's going to be at the end of the World Cup. So it's like, when does it end? 21st or whatever it is.
22nd. I think the World Cup ends on the 22nd. Yeah, season resume on the... Well, we got a game on the 20th.
Yeah.
The League Cup, which is 2 days before the World Cup finals. How? I don't know. But that's how they're doing it. But yeah, it just, you know what?
It's going to be late anyway. The business is going to be late because of the World Cup.
It's going to be late. But
if you're going to get Gakpo, that is, or anyone in the World Cup.
You know what? This is where the Glazers, you know what, you got a player has to come out to say, like, you guys don't care about the football club. This is where you come out to say, hey, you know what, we care. We're going to show you how we care. That we're going to let Ronaldo go, whether we're going to pay him over to terminate, whatever it is, we're going to let it go before even the window start. And we're going to have enough time to prepare and bring him a suitable replacement. And then when you do that, all this talk about, oh, you don't care about that, all you care about is commercially, it's literally swept under the window. But we know what United is going to do. They're going to wait until the World Cup. Ronaldo's going to be here, and I'm pretty sure that whatever solution is with Ronaldo might not get sorted out until January something. Until due day before. It's just going to drag on. And you know what? As I always say, at the end of the day, the people that always get loose out are the fans. You know, we are always the one that kind of like lose out. We have to find out whether, are we with what Ronaldo said? Are we not with what Ronaldo said? Are they going to back the manager? Are they not going to back the manager? And ultimately, look, there's a lot of players that have been scapegoats before at this club. after Ronaldo go, there's going to be a new player that's going to end up being a scapegoat. You know, that we've done it with Pogba, we've done it with Jose. We just do it all the time, you know, but ultimately it comes back to the owners and whether they're going to fix up or not. So I just hope, I think there's a good opportunity for us to get top 4. And I just hope they're going there to kind of like get a striker there, especially when we're not really certain about some of the strikers that we got. Martial, we just don't know whether he can stay fit for the rest of the season too. Rashford seems to look like he's learning the striker trade too, you know, but with him too, he misses more chance than he buries them too. So I hope they back the manager with at least like 1 or 2 signings in January so that we can push on, because we can potentially get top 4.
Look, guys, this is the OT99 Banter Room. Look, you heard the full in-depth breakdown discussion of the whole Ronaldo situation, what we're going to do next in a transfer market, if there is even going to be a transfer market for us. There needs to be a transfer market for us, but who is going to be available? Look, guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think of this whole situation. Are you on Ronaldo's side or you're on the side of Manchester United? But remember, before you drop a comment, there's no player bigger than the club. Until the next time, peace.
Peace.